Welcome back to the I Am Passionate podcast. It's your host, Jaren Smith, back with another NFL Divisional Round playoff matchup, and we're here with my big brother, Cam Killer. How you doing today?
Glad to be doing all right, doing all right.
I gotcha. So we're going to talk a little bit about the wild card weekend games because we're recording this on the divisional round, playoff games. So we're not going to spend too much time on the wild card. But I got to ask you about that Texans and Steelers matchup, man. Well, but first, the bigger story out of it, Mike Tomlin stepping down. Tell me your thoughts about that.
I'm repping my black and yellow today, man. At the beginning of the season, I was ready for Mike Tomlin to depart. As the season went on and progressed, uh, wasn't really thinking that I was ready for him at that time to step down, just because you can win with him. We just need a quarterback, honestly. But I'm not mad at it. I respect it. I'm really glad that Tomlin was able to go out on his accord and how he wanted to. I saw a picture of him, was it yesterday, the other day at his daughter's gymnastics performance. So glad that he's able to, have opportunities like that and be able to see his kid, do her own thing. So, I'm happy for him, man. The Steelers organization, not so happy for them, but I do like the idea of kind of having a rebuild. I think it's time for that. So it's bittersweet, but it's I think it's best for both parties.
I get it. And yeah, I do think I agree. I think yes, it is time. I think Mike Tomlin is a great head coach. And, me, you, and Kevin have said this for a while. The Steelers are in the awkward situation with their head coach because he's never had a losing season. I don't think you can just up and fire him. Like now, if he was still the head coach and they had a losing season next year,
Yeah,
then you probably had a little bit, it will make a little bit more sense. But,
yeah.
you know, I think that if anything, this year's Steelers team, I think they were just missing those receiving threats consistently because Aaron Rodgers, he didn't play that bad. Don't get me
He
wrong.
did.
He didn't play like vintage Aaron Rodgers would. I mean, he's 42 years old. So like nobody was expecting, that out of him. But he did not play that bad. He really didn't. If anything, the Steelers had a couple of chances early. 'Cause, I mean, they were forcing turnovers on the Texans. So like early they played a good game, but eventually, the Texans defense just said, if I won't, who will? Uh
Yeah, yeah, it was how I expected the game to go, as far as the Steelers defense being able to make things sloppy, being able to make things hard on the Texans offense, and I figured our offense wouldn't really be able to do much of anything, which it showed. It showed. So
Mhm. I understand. So talking a little bit about the Packers versus Bears. I was in Chicago for this game, as you know.
mhm.
I wasn't at the game. I was with my girlfriend and some of her friends. We were going, from like bar to bar. It was my first time really ever experiencing a football game like that, which it was a pretty awesome experience. Uh,
It's yeah.
I know I was cold, but I'm sure they were even colder.
Yeah,
But
it's ecstatic though. The energy and the elect when everybody's out there just rooting for the Bears. I've experienced something similar with the Bucks, and in it's intoxicating in itself.
yeah, for sure. Um, I just know like throughout the game because we weren't at the bar for the entire game, but I still watched the entire game. And Bears fans were there cheering, saying boo. Which there was also a decent amount of Packer fans at that bar, which that
Oh,
surprised me. I thought maybe I would have saw maybe like one group of Packers fans, but nah, I probably saw about, three, four, five jerseys, which I get it. That's not that much in the grand scheme of things.
we're close in proximity states wise, so it
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me.
I just wasn't expecting that. But, speaking a little bit about the actual game itself, um, yeah, nah, it was that was the best comeback in Bears history. Playoff history. I thought, in the second half, I was thinking, I'm like, if the Bears, if they don't get a touchdown quick, or if the Packers keep doing what they did in the first half, I'm thinking, yeah, the Bears' magical season might come to an end. But the defense, kept them in it. They didn't allow any points.
Yeah.
And the Bears offense had finally woke up. Yesterday, I saw the video of Packers wide receiver Christian Watson basically reacting to Caleb Williams' fourth and eighth throw, which I think he threw it to Rome to keep that drive alive, which he was like, one stop is all we need. Then Caleb has that crazy throw to Rome for that first down, and he was just shook, which I get it. I was shook too.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, they've had what? I think this is their seventh comeback, basically in the fourth quarter.
yeah,
That is just insane.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Um, yeah, the game went pretty much exactly how I said it was gonna go.
It did.
It
It
went
did.
exactly how I said it was gonna go. And the Packers unfortunately weren't able to hold on. Another fourth quarter blunder for them.
You know Kevin's gonna call you out for saying unfortunately, right?
Yeah, I know he's gonna. Well, it's unfortunate for Packers fans. It's not unfortunate for
Dude,
for anybody else, but
he's
but
gonna be in
Packers.
the comments saying unfortunate. Like he's gonna call you out, bro.
Yeah.
I'm already seeing it.
No, you're right. You're right about that. But I mean, it was a great game, and I wanna add to what you said. You said one of the Bears' greatest playoff comeback. It's or comeback ever. It's a one of the greatest comebacks in NFL history, specifically in the playoffs. So, electric game. I'm hoping that we could see more efficient Bears play across all four quarters. But it is a thrill to see them ball out in the fourth quarter as they have been doing this season.
Mm. I understand, and I agree. We're not going to really talk about the Chargers versus Patriots because that was the most boring game of the weekend. We're going to talk about the 49ers versus Eagles a little bit. What do you think of basically the Eagles' final play call, basically running four verts the way that they did?
I'm surprised that Howie, that's the Eagles owner, right? Or
I think he's the general manager.
the GM, that's what I mean. Yeah. Surprised he did not make a move firing the offense coordinator during the season with how bad things are. Me and Kev were actually talking about it a few days ago, and he was kind of talking about how the Washington Commanders have a very college level offense. The Eagles have a high school level. They were running a high school level offense this season, and I'm not. I don't even mean that as a joke. I'm being dead serious. If you go back and look at that last drive, they ran the same play concept four times that drive. The same play concept four times that drive. And the one of them being that last play of that drive, it's practically just four seams with basically kind of a crosser involved in it, and it's just you saw Jalen Hurts on the sideline talking to them on that timeout, like we're basically running the same play that we just ran. That was basically what he was saying, and it's just like the signs, the telltale signs. Everybody hating on AJ Brown this entire season for speaking for what most people at this point said what needed to be said at the time, and getting the blame for it. It was just a hot mess. It typically ends as it has for Kevin Patullo as far as getting let go and all that kind of stuff. So I think the Eagles can have a bounce back year, but yeah, that last drive and really just the entire offensive season for the Eagles was just egregious.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's crazy. And also the 49ers, they started the game out early. I didn't think they were going to score the way that they did. Demarcus Robinson, got that big play and a lot of yards after the catch, and he capped off the drive. The
Yeah,
Eagles, it was almost like the entire year they would get things going. And like they've had, I think percentage-wise, like TD ratio, red zone offense, they were the best red zone offense in the NFL.
yeah,
But they were getting, stopped in the like having to settle for field goals, which that ultimately, kind of what cost them. And, I picked the 49ers to win last week because I genuinely did think that they could go to Philly and win. And also, yeah, Eagles fans for football, they are some very rude fans. Not all of Eagles fans are rude, but we'll say that, they are not the kindest of fans. They were throwing stuff, I believe, at 49ers fans before the game, like throwing you know, I don't know what they were throwing exactly. Could have been, like soda, beer cans, but doesn't matter. You don't just do
yeah.
that to people. That's just very disrespectful.
Yeah, it's very classless. I think that feeds into a little bit of my hate or distaste to dislike for the Eagles in general. And then really like being a Pittsburgh fan, it really is just an interstate rivalry. I don't like them. I think I think our organizations in some ways are kind of like opposite reflections of each other in that sense. Where like I think that the Steelers are a very classy organization, and not saying that the Eagles are not a classy organization,
Right.
but the fans and stuff like that, it could be a bit trashy, or it could be a bit like you said, just stuff going on that doesn't need to be happening. So I saw it was actually crazy. I saw a clip. People are doing the 2016 trend and everything right now. I saw a clip somebody posted. They were at a Steelers Ravens game in 2016, and this woman, she was in Ravens gear. She was a Ravens fan. It was at Pittsburgh, threw her drink on this dude. He was a Pittsburgh fan on this father. He was sitting right next to his son,
Mhm.
and I think everybody was concerned that he was gonna like attack her or strike her or anything, and he was pretty much just screaming to get her out of there, get her kicked out, because it was an alcoholic beverage just splashed all in his eyes and his face, and I feel like other people would have definitely responded in a different way, in something like that, but. Yeah, no, the Eagles fans, man, they grind my gears in that regard.
I understand. I understand. Um, Really, we're gonna talk just, kind of about the Rams versus Panthers, and then we're gonna kind of go into the divisional round matchups.
Hmm.
But I don't think much more needs to be said about Bryce Young. I think he's arrived.
Yeah.
I think he played a great game, as a whole. He's making the big play when he needs to. I feel like he showed that he can extend plays, and I feel like he's got touch when he throws the ball. When he came in his rookie year, I feel like his touch was very inconsistent. And like considering, throughout his young career, last season he had gotten benched for, a couple of games and came back and was balling out. That
Hmm.
might be one of the best, things that could have ever happened to him, despite it
Right.
being very unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. Bryce Young has arrived in the NFL as a franchise quarterback, I believe. I believe he is a franchise quarterback, based off of how he ended up playing late last season, carried into this season. Obviously, there is some struggle, and obviously, there's still some things of improvement. But overall, he makes the right plays. He doesn't put the ball in jeopardy. You could see in this game that he had full command of the offense, and he's playing with confidence as well. And I think that that's very key. Uh, a key difference that you could see in his play is, when they were down and they needed plays, he came out and he made them. So I'm gonna be excited to see how he progresses throughout the rest of his career and see how because they made the playoffs. A lot of people think that they maybe should not have been there. Um, the division is an open division, to be honest with you. So if they can build upon this, I think they're putting themselves in really good position.
I agree. And I think that, the Panthers could potentially become a destination that, can attract, some
Mhm.
free agents. And, also speaking about the Rams, I did not think this game was going to be that close because I thought they were going to play a little bit more like with a little bit more anger that holy crap, we lost to them, last time we played them. And it basically went down to, the last drive. I think I just know it was number 84 who made that crazy catch, staying in bounds on the sideline. And then the Panthers, they just could not get the ball rolling on that last drive, which overall, I knew it was going to be a good game regardless. I didn't think it was going to be that good of a game. But hey, Wild Card Weekend, as we know, pretty much every game except the Chargers and Patriots and the Steelers and Texans was a close game.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
Really, I would say if there's anything you
just
want to
some
go ahead.
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Just to add something real quick tidbit in there, which will be a foreshadow for when we talk about the game, this upcoming game. But that Rams secondary, suspect, suspect, man, suspect. So it'll be a key part going forward.
Mm, I get it. I wanted to bring up something about the Bills versus Jags real quick, and that is
Mhm.
first, I did not think Trevor Lawrence was going to throw a pick on the very first play of their last drive. But otherwise, I still think that yes, the Bills had a great, end to the game. They made the plays they needed to make. But I still think that Josh Allen narrative I was saying is still alive in
Yeah.
terms of if Josh Allen does not win the Super Bowl this year, he might not get one.
Yeah. I agree. I agree in some regard. I do think that this is going to be maybe one of their easiest paths as far as just teams not playing consistently across the board, and there being some young teams in there as well mixed in there. So I do think that it'll be interesting to see if the entire team can win the games, or if it's going to be Josh Allen just putting his cape on every single game.
That is a great segue into the Bills versus Broncos, the divisional round matchup. And Josh Allen is probably going to have to put his cape on later today because they only have three active wide receivers, them being Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, yeah, Shakir, and Brandon Cooks.
Mhm.
They're gonna have to rely on their tight ends. And Keon Coleman, he's kind of had like his shaky season, in Buffalo this year. So who knows if that trust, if that chemistry is still there right now. So yeah, I think Josh Allen is going to have to, put on that cape and put on another Superman type of performance. And yeah, I don't trust the Broncos offense, but I think the Bills are too injured right now, and I don't think a shootout benefits Buffalo. I think a shootout benefits the Broncos.
Um, yeah, I think this is going to be a low scoring game. Um, I think this is going to be like a field goal type game, to be honest with you.
Like field goal to like win or like a bunch of field goals in general.
Both. Um, I don't, I mean, don't get me wrong, I see touchdowns being scored, but it's going to have to be the Josh Allen show. If they're going to win this game, the Broncos defense is ferocious. Secondary is elite. Pass rushers elite. Um, So this is going to come down to, can the Buffalo Bills win at the line of scrimmage? Can James Cook give Josh Allen any type of relief in the run game? Um, and can the Bills defense slow up Bo Nix? Because uh, obviously everybody knows that Broncos offense has also been suspect this year, so that'll make things interesting. But can the Broncos defense, or sorry, can the Bills defense stop the Broncos run game? So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think Josh Allen will come out and put his cape on though.
We will see. We will see. I have the Broncos winning this game. I think they're going to win it by two scores. I think that, Josh Allen's going to do everything that he could. I think there's going to be some plays that were left, on the field today that could potentially have benefit the Bills. But if the Bills were not missing a lot of their receivers, then I'd give them some more credit. But I don't think the Bills are going to be able to, go into Mile High Stadium today and, put up, consistent points. They're pretty much going to probably go for it on fourth down a lot today because I think that, this does have the potential to be if we put up 17 points, we might win this game.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
49ers versus Seattle. This is the game I'm more interested in because of the Sam Darnold situation. And ironically, before we were started recording, I just saw a TikTok basically explaining that somebody believes that if it's Sam Darnold or Drew Lock, it doesn't matter. They think Seattle's going to win the football game simply because, of their zone, run scheme. The 49ers don't do well against that on the defensive end, which I mean, like, even if they don't do well against it, I understand. But I think between Sam Darnold or Drew Lock, they're gonna have to throw it eventually, and all it's gonna take is one interception to, ruin the game. But what do you think about the whole Sam Darnold situation?
Um, I think that the Sam Darnold situation puts them in jeopardy of going to the Super Bowl. I don't think the Sam Darnold injury puts them in jeopardy of losing this game.
I agree
Um,
100%.
I think that uh, the Seahawks are just the better team. Defensively, Sam Darnold has gone out there, thrown picks, and the defense has not let up a lick. So if the defense can show up, which I believe they can against this 49ers team, as they did just a few weeks ago, and now this 49ers team is even more wounded on the offensive side of the ball, losing Kittle for
Rest of the
the,
year.
the Achilles. And that's unfortunate, Kevin. That one's unfortunate. Okay. Um,
Kevin's not even here, and yet his instigating still exists.
exactly. Um, But yeah, I think that I think even with the, I don't know, call him 70%, I don't know, 50%, I don't know what you would call him as far as game ready, Sam Darnold that is, or as far as how healthy he would be. I think he could still go out there and get the job done. 49ers defense obviously is just injury ridden, and then the offense also on the same side of on the other side of the ball. I don't think that they'll be able to generate enough points to be able to fight against the Seattle team. Because as you said, the Seattle can beat you both ways. They can beat you from running the ball, and they can beat you from throwing. So if they can get the run game going, I think that they'll be just fine. But as far as them being able to contend for a Super Bowl, if the injury persists or gets worse or anything like that, then you're putting yourself in jeopardy.
Yeah, I do agree. I think Seattle will be able to take care of business through their, defensive side of the ball. I think they'll be able to make whoever plays quarterback, tonight, whether it's a injured, Sam Darnold or, a Drew Lock. And plus, to be honest, I'll have a hot take. If Drew Lock starts this game, I would not be surprised if we see Jalen Milroe, like a specific package for Jalen Milroe.
Mm,
That'll be my prediction if Sam Darnold does not play. And I'm
mhm.
not trying to say anything crazy for Jalen Milroe, just probably like a read option sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
maybe just get it once, maybe for a huge first down.
Mm.
But I think Seattle, no matter who starts at quarterback, is going to win this game 20-10. But I do think the 49ers still have a chance. They've been proving people all wrong, this season with how injured this team is. And yes, like you said, George Kittle is, he's going to be missed. But I'm still going to give the 49ers a chance here. I'm going to keep it 20-10. Moving on to Sunday's games, we got the Texans versus the Patriots. What are your thoughts on this game?
Did you see NFL headlines? All the analysts that pick chose the Texans to win this game. Unexpectedly, they did not know. I am also choosing the Texans for this game. Um, I just don't trust the Patriots, but I do trust that Texans defense. I don't. I'm not going to say I trust the Texans offense either, but I trust that I have so much confidence in that defense that I think that that'll be the deciding factor when it comes to the game. I do think the Pats have a chance. I think it'll be relatively close for sure, but I don't know if Drake May has it in him to go out there and play mistake-free football against this team because I think that that's what it's going to take in order to beat them. Um, but we'll see.
I get it. And I also do have the Texans winning this football game. I think one thing that benefits the Texans in this situation is, last week against the Steelers, their defensive line, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, great pass rushers, great defensive linemen. The Patriots defensive line, even though that, yes, they looked amazing against the Chargers last week, I don't think they're gonna, look the same against the Texans again. I think if the Texans are gonna win, it's gonna be because of their secondary. I think their secondary is going to have to make those plays. But if the Patriots D line shows up, this entirely changes. I think that both of these teams offensively did not play well last week. So if I had to pick the offense that has more room for error, it's going to be the Texans. They're the number 5 seed. They're on the road in Foxborough. And, their defense is amazing. CJ Stroud had, 3 turnovers. He had multiple fumbles, which some of those fumbles I think technically counted for CJ Stroud, even though the center had snapped the ball super early a few times last week,
Yeah,
which in my mind, that should not count on CJ Stroud, but I understand why it does.
yeah.
Um, so I think the Texans, I do think CJ Stroud, has to play a better football game, on Sunday
Mhm.
because it's going to start with him and it's going to end with him. The Texans defense is going to do their job. I
Yeah.
think, they're going to, contain, Drake May. They're not going to let up the big play. And as you established last week, the Texans do not let up yards after catch. They do not.
I knew, I knew that going into the Steelers game very well, and I knew it would play a huge role, and I think it'll continue to play a huge role throughout the rest of the season. Um, that defense is just ferocious.
I get it. But yeah, I think the Patriots, I think their key to this game is going to have to be you're going to have to run the football. You're going to have to get that defense tired,
Yep.
which I know that the Texans are great against the pass and they're great against the run. But I think the only way, they're gonna is that they go on long drives. I don't think you want Drake May to throw the ball, 30 times. If he goes, let's just say like an 18 for 27 type of night, that's not that bad. By that,
Right,
in terms of like, yes, you're throwing the ball enough to have it be considered a threat, but it's not too much to the point it's like, dude, are we completely abandoning the run?
right.
Um, but I have the Texans winning this game, and also on our, the last video, I put in the comments my Super Bowl prediction was the Rams and Texans, and this was before all like all the games had played out.
So,
And yeah, I think my answer is going to change as we go into the Rams versus the Bears. What you got?
oh, goodness, man. I've been racking my head about this one. I'm gonna, as much as this hurts me, as much as this hurts me, I'm gonna pick the Bears. And I say that hurts me because I want to see Matt Stafford get another ring. Um,
So wait, are you picking? Oh, wait, I
I'm
get it. I get it.
I'm
You're
picking the
picking the
Bears.
Bears, even though you want Matthew Stafford to get another ring. I get it.
I do, yes. I think if this game is in the fourth quarter and it's close, I think it's going to be the same old story. I do. I, do-
Same here, man.
I hate to say it, and I don't even think that it's realistic to say it because it's like, how many more times can they do this? But
I think if they play, I think they can continue to carry it out for the rest of the season. Next season, it might be a different story. But this
I agree.
season, I think they can ride that momentum for the rest of the year.
I agree. I agree because as for as suspect as the Bears defense has been, I'd saying that Rams secondary is been playing really poor the last month and a half. Now I get it. The Rams have a great D line. They have, you know, good linebackers. But I think we've seen the Bears on the offensive side of the ball be able to neutralize pass rushers, good pass rushing teams. They've been able
And run the football against good, defensive line.
and exactly and run the football against good teams even. So if the Bears can neutralize that, which I believe they will find a way to do that, and if they have this game close in the fourth quarter again, I just see them pulling this one out. Now, don't get me wrong. You have the same exact offense on the other side of the ball, though. Like the Rams have the same exact thing. Matthew Stafford, known for fourth quarter comebacks, I think he's like third in NFL history. He's
Yeah,
like
he's one of the best quarterbacks to have in your hands, for a game-winning drive.
exactly. So it's like they could easily do the same thing if the situation is reversed. But I do see the Bears coming out of this one.
Hmm. So the reason why I picked the Rams and Texans as my original Super Bowl prediction was that I did not think that there was a team in the NFC side of the playoffs that was going to slow the Rams offense down. There was one thing that I did not think about. The Bears they obviously beat the Packers, so the Rams and Bears are playing. The Rams got to come play in the cold. Teams, in warm climates, they don't do as well in the cold. Now, I don't think it's going to affect Matthew Stafford as much, having played in Detroit, and I understand that he played in a dome, but he would have had to, go to, Chicago, twice a year, play in the cold, most likely. He would have had to go to the Vikings, which at the time they did not have their fancy stadium. So he would have had to go to the Vikings. He would have had to go to Lambeau. So I don't think it's going to affect Matthew Stafford all that much. I think it might affect the people around Matthew Stafford. And like you said, I feel like there's been certain times where, people might think, oh, the Bears, they're not going to get this team. They're a year away from being it. Like when the Bears played the Eagles earlier this year, a lot of people thought, the Eagles defensive line was going to, dominate the Bears, which, like you mentioned, it was the complete opposite. If this game is close going into the fourth quarter, I got the Bears to win this game 27-23. Um, but if the Bears start out slow, like they did against the Packers, I don't think the Rams are going to blow that lead. I don't think they are.
Yeah, I think this game is a game that could potentially get ugly for the Bears, to be honest with you. Like if they don't come out sharp on the offense side of the ball, I think that the Rams are going to be able to score. They're going to be able to put points on the board fairly easily, I would say.
Hmm.
And I just want to remind you, um, I don't really have any lack of confidence in Puka being able to play in the cold.
Hmm.
So Puka, I'm not concerned about. Devontae. played in Lambeau
This
for
is
a long
true.
time. So I
But
don't think.
I think he's also a little beat up. I'm gonna
I
challenge you
mean,
there.
I
I
will
think he's a
be.
little
Yeah,
injured.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he definitely is. Coming out with the hamstring and stuff. But I don't think that the cold's gonna bother him either. Now, the one thing that I will say, Kyron Williams has been known in big games to put the ball on the ground.
Kevin's probably happy you're saying that one because Kevin's biggest prediction was saying that he's due for one. He's due for
Yeah,
a big fumble.
yeah, like Kyron Williams, I won't say he has a fumbling issue because he doesn't fumble the ball often, as far as I'm aware. But what he does do is in the big games, he does have a few fumble in some big games. So if the Bears, I was just watching, they got a Peanut Tillman highlight going on. The NFL produced punching out the ball. If Wright or one of them boys can get in there and get that ball, I think that it'll change the tides for the Bears. They got to get some turnovers this game for sure, and I think that they
I
can.
agree. And by the way, I know how to carry a football properly, everybody. I played running back, obviously not in the NFL or college. I played running back. I was just doing this because of how my camera is currently angled. So if anybody comes at me in the comments, aka I'm sure Kevin probably will, but I know that's not how you hold a football.
Yeah,
But
no.
really, I just got one more question to ask you before kind of the end. We talked about, the Bears and other fourth quarter comebacks. Did you ever think we would have ever have seen a Bears team like this one?
I was pretty high on the Bears when I found out that Ben Johnson was coming to Chicago, and when I heard about how serious he was about his coaching staff and electing the correct pieces for each position. And just knowing Ben Johnson and how well he is of a mind is on the offensive side of the ball, I thought it was a great pairing for Caleb. So I will say that the Bears offense has not surprised me this season. I will say that them being able to continue to have this confidence and not flinch in these lopsided games and still hanging on, that is surprising. I don't know if I saw that coming, but I do suspect that the Bears' offensive side of the ball success will continue going forward. So that's not surprising.
I get it. And to close out the episode, I'll give my thoughts. I'm very surprised at the Bears this season. I thought going into the season that they were definitely going to be a competitive football team. I thought if anything, they would have had situations where like they would look back and be like, dang, we could have won that game.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying like from a blown lead perspective. I'm just saying like, maybe, they had one bad play on offense or maybe one missed assignment on defense. So just like making a mistake. Because there's a difference between making a mistake versus, you're winning, you know, 28-3 and then, you just choke. Yes, I'm making a Patriots and Falcons reference. But since like when they were close to clinching their division, I'm like, you know what, this Bears season's already been a success. You might as well take it until all the wheels fall off. And they still got the wheels. They're doing wheelies. They're having an amazing season. I thought, if anything, next season would have been the year where they surprised people. I
Yeah.
did not expect it to be this year,
And I
but
just
it's crazy.
I want to add in one quick thing. I don't want people to attach the success to the record because they're not always one and the same. And what I
Very
mean
true.
by that is the Bears could improve in the offseason. Like Caleb can improve. The team can improve in skill set positions and everything like that.
And they
But
could
it
lose more
cannot
games
show
next
in
year.
but it cannot show in the record though. But
Hmm.
it can also not show in the record as far as I'm not, and what I mean by that is don't expect the Bears to be 11-6 again next year is what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be, but at the same time, just because they take step forward doesn't always mean that those steps forward reflect the record that they are. So as we're saying that this is a overachievement for the Bears this year as far as their record, we're not seeing this. Don't expect them to now next year be better than 11-6 every year going forward. I think that's an unfair expectation. I do expect to see them like maybe next year their record is worse, but they're actually putting three quarters together consistently.
I
You know,
understand.
it all progress shows in different ways. So,
I agree, and I think that's a great way to close this episode. I just want to thank you so much for hopping on the podcast with me, Cam. And we will be back for the conference championships
yes,
where we
sir.
will see who represents us in the Super Bowl. And at least it's not another Taylor Swift Bowl.
All right.
But
All
thank you
right.
all for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you all next time.